Hi there, Allison here with another Cab Franc du jour. Today we're in the Yakima Valley of Washington State and we're looking at the Owen Roe 2017 Rosa Mystica Cab Franc. Now when it comes to Cab Franc in Washington State, the grape ranks a distant fourth in terms of red grapes planted. There's about 1,000 acres planted. That's less than a tenth of what there is of Cabernet Sauvignon, and the vast majority of the grapes are being used for blending purposes in Bordeaux-style blends. But there are some wineries that are doing single-varietal Cab Franc, including Owen Roe. Now the winery was established in 1999 by David and Angelica O'Reilly, and I recently had a chance to chat with David, and we talked all about his passion for Cab Franc and his vineyards. And in fact, their estate vineyards, as well as the location of the winery, were specifically chosen with Cabernet Franc in mind, which is so cool. Now, in terms of the microclimate here, we are on the eastern side of the Cascade Mountains. It's the rain shadow side, so we have very low rainfall, almost desert-like conditions, so irrigation is essential. But this does help to minimize disease pressure, which makes organic viticulture a little bit more viable. We're at a northerly latitude here, 46 degrees north latitude, so we have the benefit of longer sunshine hours during the growing season, which is great for Cab Franc in order to help minimize the pyrazines. Now for this specific wine, we are in the Yakima Valley AVA. It's the oldest AVA in the state. It was established in 1983. And the vineyards, there's 3 specific vineyards the fruit is coming from, and we're all situated here in the north central part of the AVA. And the Yakima Valley is actually known to be the coolest of all of the subzones within Washington State. These vineyards are all situated at around 1,300 feet or 400 meters above sea level. So we have a nice elevation here, which gives us a good diurnal range, so cool evening temperatures to help offset the rather warm daytime temperatures. This is important for helping to slow down ripening for Cab Franc and maintaining its natural acidity. So there's 3 specific vineyards that this fruit is coming from. It's about 10 acres worth of vines. The Union Gap and the Outlook Vineyard are the Owen Roe estate vineyards, and then they're also getting fruit from the Red Willow Vineyard as well. The vines are around sort of 15 to 25 years of age. Now the soils in these vineyards and across Washington State are quite varied, but specifically here we are dealing with the Missoula flood slackwater sediments, and these were deposited here after the last ice age, and essentially they are glacial derived as well as lake derived alluvial soils. They're very deep, well draining soils, and they have a sort of silty, sandy loam texture. Now on top of that, we have a layer of loess, and loess is a unique, very rare kind of wind-blown soil, and it's very fine in texture. And the bedrock here, and it's quite a ways down, is basalt, and this is of volcanic origin. Now, these soils being sort of silty, sandy in texture and quite deep actually make for a rather inhospitable environment for phylloxera to survive. So these vines are in fact ungrafted, so unrooted vines, which makes this very cool. Now, in terms of in the vineyard, David is very aware of Cab Franc's sort of finicky nature and need for a cool environment, but also a good amount of sunshine. So he does judicious leaf pulling on the eastern side of the canopy, which helps to bring in the cooler morning sunshine, but it also helps to kind of shade the vines from the more strong, kind of warmer afternoon sunshine as well. And then in the cellar here, he is fermenting this all whole berry. And he does set a sort of a slightly cooler temperature, so around 25 degrees Celsius. It's around 3 weeks on skins with gentle sort of manual punch downs. And then it spends about 12 months in older French oak barrels. Now on the nose, it does have a really lovely kind of lift to it, a nice perfume. I'm getting some darker fruit profiles like dark cherry. There's a bit of black raspberry here, but there's also a really punchy kind of strawberry note, which I really quite like. The pyrazines come through beautifully. They're nicely in balance. It actually kind of leans more savory for me, which is a bit of a surprise. I was kind of expecting it to be a bit more fruit forward, but it's actually a little bit more savory. And the notes come through as a bit sort of cedar, some cured tobacco. There's some herbs here as well. And it does have a very distinct kind of spicy sort of aromatic profile as well. On the palate, all those fruits come through really beautifully, and that strawberry note is so pronounced. I quite like it. And then it's like there's like a layer of dark chocolate on top of that strawberry, which is delicious. That spiciness really comes through as well. It's super pronounced. It has this sort of, it reminds me of like quatre épices, which is sort of a spice blend from France, which is used in sweet and savory cooking, but it's a combination of like white pepper, ginger, clove, nutmeg, but that's kind of the spice profile of this wine, and it's really complex, and it gives this whole other dimension to the sort of overall flavor profile. Now, in terms of the acidity here, we have nice, fresh, cleansing, balancing acidity. And the tannins are really particular. They're fine, they're firm, but there's a breadth to the tannins. They sort of fill the mouth and sort of, they're kind of all over the palate, which is really nice. But there's, they're not finely knit or finely woven. There's kind of a gauziness to the tannin profile, if that makes any sense. But there's like this sort of airy kind of profile about them, which is kind of cool. And the way that the acid and the fruit and the tannins all work together, it makes for this wine that's kind of light and sort of airy and that has this sort of levity to it, but at the same time you have this sort of darker fruit profile, the spice, which gives this wine power. And the way that all of this is kind of working together is really quite interesting, and it's very distinctive. This is my first time tasting a Cab Franc, a single varietal Cab Franc from Washington State. It's a great introduction. I look forward to tasting more of them soon. If you have a favorite Cabernet Franc from Washington State, let me know what it is in the comments below. And of course, as always, I will be back again soon with another wine. Cheers.